Hey guys, I am back, and we're going to do another start to finish project in the shop today, and it's all going to center around this little Benchmade Griptilian. This is, believe it or not, it's a 550, it's a 550 modified sheep's foot Griptilian. It's been modified some more. You know, Aiden is going to help out in the shop today. I got both boys with me, and he's going to get his hands a little bit dirty today. To start off, you'll notice there's a little bit of space in the hole. So I have previously, and I think you've seen this actual blade on the channel before, I decided to put a little Emerson type wave feature in this, and it works. It works really, really well. I think I had this once upon a time in a Wilkins grip, a green, swimming pool green Wilkins grip. And I tested this out. This is a great pocket opening feature. Very easy to do with minimal tools, a little bit of skill into any 550. A little reprofiling just to give your pocket some space, but that's a whole different issue. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to revisit an old project making a lightweight Griptilian. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these steel liners with some G10. Believe it or not, the G10, and I've proven this, and I've tested it, and I've made them before, and I've sold them to people who have had no problems with it whatsoever. The G10 is just as strong and durable when you make it the right way as these steel liners, but you lose about 2 ounces of weight for the whole knife when you get rid of the steel liners, and it works just as well, and it frees you up to do a lot more design work to customize the knife because you're not slaved to this shape. So, like I said, start to finish, we're going to get rid of these steel liners. We're still going to have the whole axis lock. Everything's going to work. We're going to use these liners as a pattern for all the holes and everything, but we are going to replace them with G10. Then we're going to make some really cool fancy scales, and this is, well, there's going to be a little twist at the end with what this is actually going to be for. You guys will see, but I think it's going to be a really cool project. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, so let's get to work. So the width of these steel liners is 0.06 inches. I have some pieces of G10 liner that are exactly that width, but I don't have 2 matching pieces. So and it's important that they're exactly that width for the movement of the axis lock. Too thin and it'll rattle around, too thick and the lock will be too sticky and won't work. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to take 2 pieces of 0.03 and we're going to composite them together to make the width of the liners that we need. Not a big deal, a little time consuming, but not a big deal. But it will be exactly the width that we need, and it'll be just as good as one solid piece anyway. And it'll give us kind of an interesting look. You probably won't even really be able to tell all that much once it's done. The first step is going to be going to the bandsaw and cutting off 2 strips of each of these so that we can start landmarking and getting ready to make our scales. So I got our 4 pieces cut, just real simple, ran them across the bandsaw. I used a standard sized scale to measure against. So we've got plenty of space to plan whatever kind of handle we want against it. Once they were cut, I took some 180 grit sandpaper and not only smoothed out all the edges from the cutting, but then I roughed them up to get ready for the epoxying to give some good grip for that epoxy to hold on to, because we've said over and over on the channel, epoxy does not like to stick very well to smooth G10, but when you rough it up like this, it gives it some texture, and microscopic as it may be, for that epoxy to really stick to. So I'm going to mix up the epoxy and get these pieces composited together. That's going to take a little bit, but once they're all stuck together and ready, then we can start drilling and mapping out holes and get going. So all the pieces are now smushed together, wrapped up individually. I'm using some other nice big pieces of G10 to distribute the weight of the clamps evenly, so we don't get like some big squish spots and big air bubbles or anything. So, physics, folks, physics. So I'm going to let this sit for about an hour to fully cure, and then we'll get right back to work. I think it's about time to check on these, see how they've done. Okay, so these look rough, these look a little sloppy, but they're going to look totally fine when we're done. So they're all done. I did a little sandblasting just to get rid of excess epoxy. What we got to do now is lay these on top and drill some holes. So we need to clear out this area for the axis lock. We need the pivot. We need the shoulder pin. We need this little hole right there for the omega spring. We're going to use the back shoulder right there. And then I think we'll put a back spacer in so we don't worry about anything else right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 kind of there is what we need to do. Sometimes at the shop you have to stop to fly TIE Fighters and Millennium Falcons to the Death Star and eat pretzels.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Ethan, you eating that pretzel? You going to the Death Star? Yeah.
No, I'm going to the Death Star. I'm going to the Death Star.
I gotta drill stuff. Okay. So this is the roughest of rough fittings right here, but I mean, it does what it needs to do. It closes, it moves, it locks, it unlocks, it works. For the scales on this thing, I was going to go with something exotic looking at first. I was going to use this, but I want this to have more of a field use for who it's intended for. So I have just a little bit of this peel and ply coarse texture hunter green G10. I'm going to use this. I think this is going to really look good on this. Now I'm going to use, because I don't have an actual Griptilian scale to judge where the axis lock area should be to grab the axis lock. Yeah, this is there's a Cerakote explosion, by the way. That's why it's all over my hands. I'm going to use these spaces as spacers to figure out where to drill the holes to basically start guesstimating where the axis lock is going to be on this. So with the general shape of the scale I want, it's time to take this to the bandsaw and get a rough cut out. So this is pretty much the working shape of what this knife is going to look like. I have a back spacer cut now and thinned a little bit to fit on the inside. I still need to do a little bit more work here, widen that up for the axis lock, and then do the milling on the inside and do some final shaping, but this is what it's going to end up being. It's got a great handle. It's much lighter than a regular grip. And then the pocket opener feature is going to be awesome. So now I just got to go and start grinding down the back spacer to match, putting in some jimping here and there, and getting everything kind of finalized and getting that axis lock installed. I also got to do some work on the inside over there because the blade doesn't kind of want to close yet, but you know, the back spacer is just rough cut to fit right now. We'll get that all sorted out before it's done and then countersink all the screws. So mechanically, this thing is finished. I know you're all looking at this little guy right here. Don't worry about this little guy right here. We got a plan for that. But axis lock is finished. The general shape is finished. It works. At the last minute, I had a great idea to add a little bit of glow-in-the-dark flare, which I know the guy who's getting this knife would enjoy. So I'm using some Kieranite Starlight, which is amazing glow-in-the-dark material. You can see it glowing here in daylight, like the lights are on. Take a look at it. And I'm going to fit it kind of as an end cap. So I did a little contouring here, and I'm going to do the same contouring onto the Starlight there, and it's going to basically completely encapsulate the blade. It's going to be really cool when it's all finished. It's going to have a really nice effect. It's going to look great. So with a little end cap, and it needs a little finishing. I know there are going to be some people out there that don't like this look. I like it. I think it's a nice little touch. I think it helps blend kind of the back into the green, like the dark emerald, jade, whatever you want to call it, back spacer. It helps extend the handle, helps extend that little curved shape I wanted there, and it fits the blade perfectly. I think it's cool, and again, it's such a bright glow that out in the woods, in the field, whatever, it's going to glow like nobody's business. So now, still a little bit of finishing work to do on this. Got to recoat some of these screws, but I want to put a nice lanyard hole right about there, and then do the edging work. I'm thinking about not putting the jimping. I really like the smooth look of it, and honestly, this is so grippy, you don't need any jimping on it whatsoever. So let me get to work on this lanyard hole, and then just some hand sanding, finishing. I'm going to do some edging with the Dremel, and then the belt sander and everything. But then some hand sanding around just to finish it off, and this thing's just about done. So, easy, decent sized lanyard hole, and now I'm going to use this lapidary bit right there. Take away that sharp edge of the G10 so it doesn't wear away on whatever kind of lanyard you choose to put through there. Maybe a little bit more right there. Very nice. There are a lot of other ways to do this with power grinder or a drum and a drill press. Honestly, I still prefer just a Dremel. It's an easy way to control it and get it even all the way around. So this guy's almost done. Need to mount a clip in there. it'll be fastened directly into the G10. Unfortunately, I don't have any deep carry clips to put in here, so I'm going to have to put the original Benchmade clip in, which is not the best, but we'll mount it as far back as we can. Looking at mounting it just like that, so it gives a pretty good amount in the pocket, and it'll end up centered right there, so it'll be fairly comfortable in the hand. Alright, so here's the finished body, handle, scale, everything. It's freshly oiled up. It looks magnificent. I love it. It looks awesome. I'm going to reassemble it now completely, and let's take a look at the whole thing. And here, in front of a very dirty workspace, is the finished product. I love doing them this way because you can make the handle be anything you want, and I think that this shape is a much more comfortable shape than the original Griptilian handle. I really like this shape. I've used it before, variations on it anyway, but I love this finish. I love the addition of the glow-in-the-dark cap. I know that the intended recipient of this knife is going to love it too. Everything on this, I don't know if you guys knew, but during the course of production, there was about 30 small different disasters that took place. Yeah, this is actually my third choice in handle scales, and it turned out to be the right one, I think, for what this knife is going to be used for. And this is going to my buddy DJ. One of the things I've known is that he's always wanted a Benchmade, since he's basically got to rebuild his whole collection from scratch since all of his stuff was stolen. I want him to have this one as kind of a starting point, and it's going to come back to him when I send his Puko knife back. And I know he'll appreciate it and take care of it. But let's check out, now that we've got a clip on there, let's check out how well this works. So there it is. Like I said, I don't have a deep carry clip, but the way I position the clip, it's pretty far in the pocket. And that wave opener, every time. It just works like a charm every single time. It took me a little while to figure out just the right place to make the cut, and then exactly how to shave down the top of the blade there, the spine, so that would always get a good grab in the pocket. But once you figure out the sweet spot there, I think not only does this work a lot better than a zip tie tied to the hole in a 550, but it certainly looks a lot better too. It has a much meaner, more aggressive, and not, quite frankly, as cheap look as just putting a little zip tie around there and hoping it grabs your pocket, when you want to take it out. So this is I love this knife. I want to keep it. Unfortunately, it is intended as a gift. I'll probably end up having to make one for myself with this particular handle shape. I made other ones before, for customers, and I've regretted I hate having to send them off. I made one with a Doug Ritter 552 blade, which was awesome. It was amazing. I got to get my hands on one before they're all gone, I guess, and make another one. But I think DJ's really going to like this one and really going to appreciate it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we've saved overall about 2 ounces of weight by getting rid of these steel liners and some of the other metal pieces that make up the original Griptilian handle. So, not that complicated to do, and definitely a very custom way to do with any Griptilian blade, really. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. Hope you thought this was interesting. One of my personal projects I love doing. This doesn't mean I don't do the regular custom Griptilians, with the steel liners too. People still like their steel liners. Just they don't understand that the G10, if it's made properly and drilled properly and everything, it's just as strong and durable as those steel liners, believe it or not. For the lifetime of your knife, they'll do really well for you. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. You are all totally awesome, and I will be back again real soon.